Are you there? You're an introvert. You know that public speaking is going to be an important part of your career growth, but you have no idea how to do it. This is the video for you. I'm a trainer today. I do a lot of business trainings and public speaking, but I grew up as an introvert. I'm still an introvert. And there are certain things that I've discovered that have helped me become more comfortable with public speaking, more confident, and more effective in how I do it in such a way that people don't even realize that I'm an introvert. That's what I'm going to be talking about today, the Introvert's Guide to Public Speaking. My name is Dennis Mboro. I'm the founder of DSM Advisory and Consulting, where we help entrepreneurs get customers by articulating their business ideas well, as well as sharing personal development content so that people can become outstanding, essentially to fulfill their potential. That's what this channel is about. When I was growing up, I was always considered to be the shy guy, the person who cannot speak in front of people. Most of the time, actually, because I remember I also used to be bullied because of that, because people are like, why don't you like talking to people? Why do you just sit there? What do you write about? Because I used to journal a lot when I was a child. And that made me very uncomfortable. And it made me averse to this idea of public speaking. In fact, I thought that one day I would be a policymaker, someone who just sits behind a desk with a computer and does their work. Of course, I do that today, but the part that I really enjoy is going out, meeting people, and sharing my ideas, even if I'm speaking in front of a large audience, in as much as that's not what I originally thought I would do. So when you're an introvert and you see that public speaking is going to be an important part of your development, one of the things that you grapple with is, how do you know that people are going to listen to you, or whether people are going to find you interesting? Then something else is, all these people are looking at me. How can I be confident when I'm receiving so much attention, while I'm not used to receiving attention most of the time? Then how am I going to go about it and be sure that I'm being effective? Because as introverts, we receive so much scrutiny that you don't want to put yourself under even more scrutiny. Those are the questions that an introvert has when they are thinking about this idea of public speaking. What helped me overcome all that is realizing that, what helped me overcome that is realizing that I had thought that the only people who can public speak are extroverts, because they're the ones who like attention and who like being in front of the crowd. So the idea of being an introvert and public speaking meant to me that I had to become someone that I'm not for me to become a public speaker. That is where I had the biggest challenge. And that is something that I struggled with for a very long period of time before I discovered that public speaking is essentially being yourself, but in front of people. Because as introverts, one of the beauties of being an introvert is that you spend a lot of time reflecting. Maybe you journal a lot, and you try as much as possible to have a lot of clarity of thought. And if you notice, introverts create very few but very deep friendships. And the deep friendships that introverts tend to have are very life-giving, and they are about sharing things that really matter, like those deep conversations that you normally would not be able to have, or that most people are not able to have with other people. So you'll hear that extroverts are very good at talking to a lot of people, but having very shallow relationships. But introverts talk to few people and they have very deep and profound relationships. I discovered that depth of relationships that introverts tend to create is because of the deep conversations that they are able to have with people. So deep conversations with people means that you are able to have deep insights. And having deep insights is something that people look for because the depth of that insight is normally what they need to solve the problem they are facing at that point in time. An audience could be simply a group of people who are facing the same problem that you have very deep insights about. Therefore, if you are able to share the deep insights you have about a certain subject in front of a group of people, then voila, you are a public speaker. And you do not need to become somebody else for you to do your public speaking. It is important to acknowledge that in as much as you are an introvert, you have friends and you create relationships. And because you create these relationships, you have conversations in the midst of those relationships. And the conversations that you have in those relationships are the ones that you're going to be talking about when you're in front of a large audience, because you notice that there are people who come to you because of a specific issue that they have. And that's a representative of another bigger number of people who you may meet all together who need to hear about the solution to that problem. You don't need to change. You need to keep being an introvert. You need to keep charging yourself up by spending your time alone, reflecting, having those deep thoughts, deep conversations. That is everything that you need for you to become an effective speaker in front of people. There are some skills that you're going to learn along the way, such as how to modulate your voice, taking it up and down, such as maybe how to introduce a joke or two, humor, how to connect well with an audience. But those are details. Those are the details. The most important thing is the content. And because you have been a human being for a long period of time, people are attracted to others for various reasons. There's a person I listen to called Eric, should be Thiel or something like that. The guy speaks so slowly, and because he speaks slowly, he has many people who listen to him. Apparently, people say that people have lost the art of speaking slowly, which he does very well. There are people who I listen to who talk about very complex ideas. Think people like Peterson. Forgetting the first name, but Peterson talks about very complex ideas, and those are the things that people don't talk about. And essentially, that is what makes people drawn to him, because he talks about those complex ideas. There are other speakers who talk about very simple ideas, and they have people who are drawn to that, being able to communicate simple ideas. So for you, there is something that you do that is special about you. So you may not become the most animated person, but you just learn how to connect with people in your own way, and in a way that makes you feel like you're being yourself. Because ultimately, the most important thing is to be authentic, because that authenticity is what is going to help you speak to people effectively. Now, if you have a message, if you have an audience or a number of people that need to hear the message, then you can be able to speak to them without necessarily changing yourself from being an introvert to being an extrovert. The challenge now is to get yourself out of that thinking that you had initially, that you had to become somebody else to be a speaker, and then to be courageous enough to effect yourself in front of a few people. And after that, a little bit more people. After that, a little bit more people. Perhaps by joining a club, Toastmasters club maybe, or just a group, a fellowship, or an organization where you're going to get opportunities to speak to people who are not necessarily going to judge you, but it's going to be about a subject that you care about and a subject that you are really passionate about. Until next time, I challenge you to keep challenging yourself. Being an introvert does not mean you cannot become a public speaker, and don't sacrifice the growth of your profession at the altar of something that is just based on a lie or an idea that you may not have been thinking about correctly. Until next time, Dennis Mboro, over.